poll that you did last night, 4,000 people straight afterwards. It is very significant that we had such an overall and outright winner. And as we said, other polls showed Clegg even further in front. Were you surprised by that?
Yeah, I think the general expectation was that Clegg would come out on top if everything stayed pretty stage managed, because small party, big opportunity. But he definitely performed extremely well, and that is a big win for Nick Clegg.
The thing is that obviously he has kind of everything to gain and nothing to lose, so he could go for it, and we saw that. He was passionate, he was relaxed, he was almost funny. None of them were very funny, he was almost funny. He was what some people would have expected David Cameron to be. I
think that's exactly right. I think he almost put David Cameron in a slightly awkward position because Nick Clegg was being the relaxed, charismatic,
younger, good-looking.
Exactly. And at times, I think David Cameron looked a bit uncomfortable. Yeah.
I wonder about David Cameron's position on the podium. Being in the centre like that didn't seem to do him any favours, and it appeared as if Gordon Brown was trying to enlist Nick Clegg's help almost in a pincer movement, saying, well, I think Nick agrees with me, but David doesn't. And that wasn't a very good place to be, perhaps.
No, and I think there was a big debate amongst them and negotiation amongst for the three polls about, the three debates about who goes where. Clearly, if you're just looking in one direction, it's much easier than having to do this and feel pincered. It was interesting, though, that Nick Clegg rebuffed quite strongly one of Gordon Brown's efforts to bring him in on a reform.
And Gordon Brown, I mean, you know, we know Gordon Brown very well in this country. We've seen him again and again and again. There doesn't seem to be much else that Gordon Brown can do with himself. He didn't have that dreadful smile going on too much last night.
I think all Gordon Brown really had to do last night was not lose his cool and be fairly straightforward. Somewhat the same with Dave Cameron. I think Gordon Brown performed pretty well. Very nervous first 15 minutes.
So was everyone, though, weren't they?
So was everyone.
Never seen more
got his jokes in.
Nervous leaders.
I know. But awkward position there. But got his jokes in.
Yes.
Then relaxed. I think he did okay.
One, you know, David Cameron, we might have expected to have been a little more relaxed, a little more funny. There was no humour from him at all.
No.
Do you think he's keeping his powder dry? I mean, I'm sure a lot of Tory supporters hope he is, because he didn't do particularly well last night.
Well, I think from the key topics that came out last night, like immigration, from the worm poll stuff, I think all the parties will be going back, studying it, and we will see perhaps different tactics, different strategies, not only for the next debates, but in the coming days, especially because of the strong showing of the Liberal Democrats.
Let's talk about the different strategy. Do you really think this debate could change strategy? Because it is possible now that they will feel, particularly the Conservatives, that they have to actually attack the Liberal Democrats on things like their 17 million tax cuts. They haven't had to do that before because it could be crucial in marginal seats.
I think it's quite possible that the strategy will shift to a major focus on Liberal Democrats. I think Conservatives already feel there's not a lot more they can do against Labour, that Gordon Brown is a bit of a liability there anyway. But because of Nick Clegg showing last night, they need to swing the guns round onto the Lib Dems.
Now, for people who said that these debates were going to be very stage managed and they wouldn't really do very much, we had a lot of people looking at figures in the States and saying they don't really make a difference. They were proved wrong, really, weren't they?
Well, they were proved wrong on the night. I think that the results are very significant. The question is, will they prove wrong on not only for the election, but even in the next few days? You mentioned a viewer figure of 20 million, which is huge, and that's the indication we got from our polls that it would be. The question is, how many people turned off after 15 minutes? Which I will be very interested to see what the figures on that are. And we and others, we're doing polls over the next 2 days, what the voting intention polls on Sunday show. Well, Peter, after a day of, please come in and talk to us about that again. It's fascinating stuff. Thank you so much. Andrea.